Hi, people. Sorry it took so long. Sorry. A lot of things happening, and life gets in the way. However, we're back, and a bunch of different things. I got some stuff that I want to talk about. Um, First off, for those of you who remember Mr. Kovalov, unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago he passed away. He was much older than I am, and I don't know the circumstances behind it, but I did remember seeing something on a Facebook page. Kovalov was a very unique individual. If you had him for a teacher, he was very soft spoken, knew his stuff, had all kinds of background experience. I believe he had a doctorate in something, I'm not sure what. Um, he obviously came from a Russian background, spoke a couple of different languages, few different languages. Um, he was a member of the some yacht club downtown on the lake. In fact, he was an admiral. He had either had the rank of admiral. So um, he was also a hypnotist. And after he retired, that's what he did. He lived down towards Lakeshore, and he had therapy sessions, hypnosis sessions. Very unique individual. He once sent me an email once. He says, "I need your help. I need you to teach me how to play the didgeridoo." And since that's one instrument that I've never played, and it takes a lot of lungs to play that thing. And he wanted to buy one. And he wanted to play it. So I told him where to get one. There was a place on Young Street below Lawrence that sold didgeridoos and ethnic instruments and from Australia and all over the world. I think he bought one, but I never got a chance to actually sit down with him and teach him how to play it because for me it would tick up my entire face. But a very eclectic individual, very soft spoken, could talk to you about all kinds of different things. Um, and too bad that we didn't connect. In fact, where I live in Thornhill, and I called him up one time and I said, "I'll meet you for coffee." And he says, "Well, where do you live?" "I'm up north." "Well, you'll have to come down here because I don't go up north." I said, "Okay." I don't know if he wasn't driving at the time. Um, I don't know a lot about his backstory, but I do know that as a teacher, he was really good. In fact, somebody, I think it was Chris Maxwell, once said to me that if he ever kicked you out of the room, he did it in such a way that you were saying, "I'll be happy to go." He would send you to the principal's office. "Yes, sir, I'd like to go." He was that kind of person. And uh, very eclectic, very knowledgeable. My only regret that I never spent more time with him. Anyway, he passed away a couple weeks ago. And I'm not up on a lot of the other teachers, and I'm sure that, I mean, don't forget, there's a lot of teachers. When I joined the school in 1983, some of the teachers were there for quite a long time already. In fact, speaking of 1983-84, this, for those of you who were there at the time, is the yearbook. Now, the very first yearbook that I got when I was there. And I'm looking through it, and of course, a few people signed my page, of course. Um, and some of the ads in this yearbook are hysterical. For example, um, bear with me. The Waterbed Factory. Because back then, waterbeds were big. And if you ever owned a waterbed, did anybody out there own a waterbed? Okay, if your parents must have owned a waterbed. Somebody owned a waterbed. They were really cool. You got into it, and you had to take Gravol because you were going to be seasick. It's supposed to be relaxing, and they had a little heater that would heat up the water inside the waterbed that would make it nice and cuddly and warm and kind of like the womb kind of thing. And if they ever sprung a leak, God help you. Um, one of my acquaintances got a waterbed, and she lived in an apartment, and it sprung a leak, and it leaked through 4 floors of apartments, and these were concrete floors. So I don't know how it did it, but it did it. So these were they were dangerous. They were finally just people stopped buying them. But the Waterbed Factory, I wonder if you called them up now. And then you have the Longos, right? For those of you who remember that particular store, Longo Avenue is named after that store, which is north of Darcel. And here, as long as you don't laugh, is the picture of me. I'm trying to get it focused. That's me in a jacket and lots of hair and a vest and looking like I'm some kind of soldier. Because at the time I was the only music teacher there. The music program was very small. And yeah, that's just, I built it up from that point on. When I came on board, there were like 4 classes of music, and I taught a class of art. That's all I could, there was nothing there. And we built that program up. There are a lot of teachers who's Mr. Hinchcliffe. I don't think you'll be able to spot him in this particular picture. Hinchcliffe is right here. It's blurry. Peter Hinchcliffe was, if you ever had him for, I think it was English, he had the most amazing sense of humor. He would tell stories in the staff room that were stage presentable, okay, except for the fact that they weren't the cleanest stories on the planet. But he had a wonderful sense of humor, and he had a wonderful delivery. He was a terrific guy, terrific teacher. Let me see who else. There was a blah 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 blah. I'm looking for the custodians because I'm pretty sure. Bear with me. No, I don't see them. I gotta see them. There's some here somewhere. There they are. Okay. This is Mr. Charbonneau. Right there. He was about my height, and when we used to have fights, we would go at each other hammer and tong, and we were eye to eye, and he was a short, burly guy who looked like if he was in the wild and some bear was coming at him, he would take him down with one punch. He was that kind of character. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guy. As soon as I told you, I told the story before, when we buried the hatchet, there wasn't a nicer guy and a more loyal guy to the school or to the staff ever, Mr. Charbonneau. There's more stuff in here, and pictures of the poofy hair, right, and the 80s hair. That was very, very big. And I'm looking through some of these graduates, and unfortunately I can tell you some of these graduates, and I'm looking through the pictures, and unfortunately they're no longer with us for some reason or another. I don't know. But I figure if they're 17 years old in 1984, and that would be almost 40 years ago. 94, 14. In 24, that'll be 40 years, so it's 37 years. 37, 50, they'd be about 54 years old right about now, the graduates from this class. Staff student hockey, here we go. I don't know if you can make that out. That's me playing goal. That's Mr. Maleka. He was a fabulous goaltender, good athlete, great athlete. That's me. That's Maleka. That's Mr. Urkula. There were Urkula taught drafting, and there was another teacher, Mr. Windsor, who was in science. Mr. Windsor was a big boy. He really was. I don't know much. I don't know if there's still. I know Mr. Urkula passed away a number of years ago, and they used to. Before I played goal, I played a couple games out, and being one of the shorter guys on the ice, they decided just for fun to double team me, and both these guys with their equipment on were like walking barrels. And Windsor, he could skate, but Windsor was over 300 pounds at that time, Kenny Windsor. And they saw me along the boards, and they looked at each other and went, okay, we got him. And they hit me from both sides. Okay. And I thought, well, they're coming at me, and I'm trapped. I can't go anywhere. And I'm thinking, okay, what prayers do I recite now? In which language? And they both hit me. Now, because most of them was soft and fluffy. Think Fluffy, okay? Iglesias, the comedian. They were kind of that size. And they both hit me, and it was a comfortable situation. It was like being hit by two sofas. It was really, really funny. And they thought, oh, let's do some damage to this guy. And after they hit me, they looked at each other and said, that was cool. Let's do that again. And they looked at each other, so they did it again. And it was like, oh, this is comfortable. They thought they were going to, hit me, and I was going to feel... They were too much padding. In fact, when Mr. Windsor, I think, if I'm not mistaken, sometimes had run-ins with the then principal, who had run-ins with everybody. And there was one year, and we were sitting in the staff, and remember, Windsor was a big boy, and he was I think he was president of the union, that was OSTF union branch at the school, and he was in the principal's face on a lot of different things. And the time he left, he went to Arundel, if I'm not mistaken, and he was joking in the staff room saying they'll probably have a band playing when I leave. And without thinking about it, I just said, what are they going to play, Anchors Aweigh? And he looked at me, and I went, oops. But it was perfect. It was perfect. He had a good sense of humor about it. But he and Urkula both went to Arundel, I remember that. And then I lost contact with them. So it's just the way it is. Sometimes you keep in touch with people, and sometimes you don't. I haven't kept in touch with many people, I have to admit that. Senior basketball teams, hockey, ski trip that year, oh yeah, that was the year we did West Side Story. Okay. This play took years off my life. When I got to the school, I think I've told the story, but it bears telling it again. The drama teacher was Diane Cormican. And I came to the school in September of 1983, blah, blah, blah. And the principal says to me, oh yes, and by the way, we're doing a play in the spring as part of the Sears Festival. Okay. I don't have a band. I have a band class. I have a guitar class. I don't have much of anything. What are we planning on doing? And he said, West Side Story. And I went, no way. I said, that's, if not the most difficult Broadway show to put on. At the time. I mean, there are shows that have been written. I mean, it's almost like saying, yeah, we're going to do Phantom of the Opera. And you're going to have to, with your technical wizardry, float this boat across the stage. So this was the West Side Story. And I've already... Ray McLeod was Tony. God bless you. Ray McLeod, if you're watching, we had fun trying to get Ray to sing. Ray's a photographer right now. He's a wonderful photographer. We had fun getting him to sing. And so I said to the principal at the time, I said, I don't have a band. Well, it's already picked, it's already chosen. By who? By the drama person, who's already picked her cast. Oh, good. I don't even have a say in auditions or anything. So yeah, I had the girl that we worked with was a young lady by Margaret Meehan. Oh my God, what a voice! She was Maria. Margaret had a phenomenal voice and was a wonderful a wonderful person. She could sing, she could act, she was the whole package. Dance. Tony Ray could act. He was really really good. We had choreography. We had choreography from Thriller, the Michael Jackson video. We had that kind of choreography, and we filled the stage with people. And of course, for Sears Festival, we go to Lansing Pearson Theater in Bramalea, and the stage is half the size of our stage. So we had to either cut people out of the choreography or squish everybody together, and there was no room to move on stage, and that was one of the reasons I don't think we did very well. It was an ambitious undertaking. I went and I hired Danny McErlane on piano. I don't know if you know Danny. Danny is one of the finest show pianists in Toronto. He has memorized every single play from Rent to Joseph's the multicolored Technicolor Dreamcoat thingy to Phantom. He's one of the most capable keyboard players probably in Canada. And he played keyboards. He played the whole piano part, all the score. And I hired a drummer because we didn't have the people. Nobody in that school. In fact, very few people in the board. Maybe Chinguzi under John Dara, the teacher there. Maybe they had the band good enough to do West Side Story. Clearly, when the West Side Story was picked, neither the drama person, Cormacan, nor the principal realized how difficult this play was. They just said, do it. And so we did it, but man, oh man, that was the origins of the stage crew, because there were so many different things going on, and we had to create a crew. And I did. I created the first stage crew for that production, because the sets were minimal, but they were still sets. Boy, that play took years off my life. In fact, got to the point where Cormacan and I weren't talking to each other, the director, and they had to get the principal and a couple of other teachers to sit down with us in the principal's office and iron out our differences, because she wanted to do what she wanted to do with no communication to me. And I'm saying, you can't do that, okay? I've done this play. I've done it with an orchestra. I've directed this play. I know what I'm doing, okay? When it comes to stage items, I not only have done the backstage as stage manager, I've played in the band, I've directed the band or the orchestra, I've directed the actors, I've done the house, I've done everything, okay? They had no idea. They just get up there and dance. Anyway, it was a success, I have to admit. Basically over my dead body, but it was a success. It was one of for my first year at the school. The next year, Mr. Karsh came in as a drama person, and we did Alice in Wonderland, and that's where Lucy Morrow took the lead as Alice, and she was wonderful, and she's still wonderful. Lucy, if you're watching, you're still wonderful. But that was such a different play. It was funny. It was all kinds of stuff. We had one lead in that, the male lead in that play. I've forgotten exactly what the character. I think it was a rabbit. But with the male lead in that play, couldn't sing at all. So Karsh comes up to me. He says, "Well, what are we going to do? He can't sing." I said, "So we Rex Harrison the lines. So instead of singing the lines, he speaks the lines." Rex Harrison couldn't sing either. So we did, and it worked like a charm. Lateral thinking. Anyway, so I'm going through this book, and I'm seeing all these wonderful. If you were there at the time, um, let me know. Let me know. There was Sadie Hawkins Day. Um, if you got the yearbooks out, start looking through your yearbooks. Um, the Westwood Wildcats. There was a very, very good um, group of science teachers back then, and one of them was Mr. Perkins, who, as was mentioned in previous video, Perkins pretty much taught everything from physics to adult education. Back then, he was a physics teacher. Sorry about that. um, yeah, so I'll be talking about other. This is the yearbook. Pretty plain. But as the yearbooks got on, in my next video, I'm going to talk about this one, which was the last Westwood yearbook from 1999, and the first Lincoln Alexander yearbook from 2001. Actually, there should be a 2000. I think I've shown it. Yeah, maybe I did. I'm getting old. Yeah. Sorry. So, yeah, if you have yearbooks and dig them out, let me know what you like, what you want me to talk about. Oops, hello. Okay, yeah, I know. And, yeah, so that's the update so far. It's getting colder out. COVID's still around. If you're not vaccinated, get vaccinated. And don't have an argument with me. Colin Powell recently passed away. He was the Secretary of State in the States. He was 80 something years old, and he was double shotted with the virus, with the vaccine. And people are saying, yeah, he still had 2 shots of the vaccine, and he still died. Yes, because he had blood cancer, and having the drugs for blood cancer means your immune system is reduced to 0, and that's how he caught COVID, and that's how he passed away. And you have to understand that if your immune system compromised, if you're, for example, I will need ultimately a kidney transplant. Right now, I've had 2 shots. My antibodies are as if I've had COVID, really up there. But if you've had a transplant of any kind, the drugs you take on to make sure that your body doesn't reject the transplanted organ basically means that your immune system is reduced to almost nothing. So to get a transplant now, people who are immune compromised are sitting ducks for COVID. And this is why you get the vaccine, so that you can still pass it on. That's not the point. The point is that your antibodies work to deal with the virus that you have. If you're not shot, then you're not only a sitting duck, but you could easily pass on the strain to anybody else. And this is why you have to be careful. And the same thing with masks. And so far, so good. I've only met one person in a supermarket that wasn't wearing a mask, and he was giving everybody a hard time. And apparently, the staff leave him alone because he's a little bit oskadrai. So that's fine. Anyway, that's enough for today. I got lots more. Sorry for the delay in putting these things out. I'll try and be a little more regular. Leave comments below. Subscribe, like, do the whole whatever thing. I'm not going to do TikTok. I'm not going to do Instagram. This is what I do. YouTube. Okay? And keep in touch with me. Let me know who you are. Don't just write like busybody75 and write a comment. Send me a message. Let me know who you are, who's making all these nice comments. I mean, it's nice. I'll send you a message back. And that's pretty much it. Okay. Good to see you. And we'll see you hopefully soon.